Thank you, beautiful people. My name is Avon Drummond, and I'm here to share with you the first step of treatment. A lot of you have had treatment with me, and so you know that when we start, it's not about the words that we speak, but it's about the feeling. So I want to share an experience. I'm going to talk about the recognition phase. That's the part where we recognize that God is all there is, that there is no other power. In 1999, I founded a nonprofit organization called the Women's Success Network. It was designed to help women re-enter the workforce. And the first few clients that I had, there was a woman in, and my job was to help them with clothing and just encourage them, whatever they needed to get back to work. And Rosalie talked. She was obviously a leader. She captured my heart. I just fell in love with her. I needed some help, and so I hired her. Found out that she had actually been looking for a job. She had been laid off. She had a history of drug abuse, but she had been clean and on track for at least 2 years. And in that, she was able to reclaim her son, about 3 years old. So we worked wonderfully together. We did speaking engagements. She shared her story. I shared my organization's mission. One day we were working in the shop. It's like a clothing store. And I got a call, and it was for her. And the call was from Department of Family and Children's Services. She said, she got on the phone, and she was obviously very, very upset. What they told her was that her son had been picked up from the daycare and was at the airport and was with a social worker headed back to New Jersey, where they were from, where he had been in foster care before she got him back, and that there was nothing that she could do about it. Well, devastation was an understatement. She became extremely depressed. I couldn't even reach her for days. She wouldn't answer the door. She wouldn't answer the phone. Once I did finally get a hold of her, I said, we got to make a plan. So I immediately bought a ticket to New Jersey, which is where they took him. I wanted to be there to support her any way that I could. And so we got to New Jersey, and we went to the court. And when you're in the lobby, they only allow, it's a family and children's court, they only allow, one family in at a time. And so we were in the lobby. And as we were in the lobby, her lawyer came. She had been working with this woman, had trusted her. And she said, Rosalie, I'm sorry, I don't think you're gonna get your son back. And of course, the other lawyer that was representing the state, was kind of snickering, they had won. And the previous foster parents were there. It's okay, Rosalie, we got him. You can come visit, it's okay. But this is where I called God. I sat there in the lobby, all the chaos going around, people upset about what was going on with their life. And I got into a space just being conscious of my breath. And I have this tone that I use that centers me. It's like when you see a baby for the first time and you go, do that with me. It just releases all resistance, and God takes over. And so it finally became our turn to go into the court. And the lawyer for the state presented their case, and her lawyer presented the case against her, actually, just saying, we've done the best we could. She had gotten laid off before she came with me from her job. Things got behind. She was almost to be evicted, and then I showed up and I hired her. Things got back on track. She was happy, she was positive. I never even knew all of this was going on. She wasn't that kind of person. And so finally it came around to her turn. And she had prepared actually, a whole book, a whole notebook of letters and recommendations and addressing her character, her positivity, her optimism, her all the things she had done. So the judge listened, kind of apologetically. When she finished, she said, "Who is this with you?" She said, "That's my employer. She came here to support me." And the judge said, "Mrs. Drummond, I'm sorry." She said, I hate that you came all this way, but my hands are tied. I'm impressed by what you've presented, but there's nothing I can do." And she went on to explain all the inner workings of New Jersey and Georgia State and all that kind of stuff. And she says, "It's just nothing I can do. I'm really sorry." But when she was saying that, it didn't even move me. I was in my space. It didn't even faze me. And then it was like somebody was whispering in her ear, the judge's ear. She took her hand and she put it behind her head. And she said, "Something's ain't right. Something's not right." She said, "I'm the judge here." She said, "Everybody, there's not a person in this room that has not had a problem, an issue that was out of their control. Even me, I have 2 teenage daughters," she said. "And if I lost my job, I don't know what would happen." She looked around the court. She said, "Rosalie, take your child home." And at that moment, a big relief came. She came from behind the bench. She said, "What's your career?" She said, "I want you to work with me." She gave her a hug, and Rosalie was on her way. This is what I know. I know that there's just one power, there's one God. It doesn't matter what the opinion is. It doesn't matter what the decision is. It doesn't matter what people say. When you hold yourself in that power, God is all there is. God is all there is. And so I want to take this time to relax and summon my sister in prayer for unification, the message that she's going to bring, Idella Veal.
Thank you, Reverend Avon. Good morning. Have you ever doubted yourself and your worthiness? Your knowingness of being a child of the Most High God? I think all of us have done that before. I know I have. And this next step is called unification. Becoming one with what Reverend Avon was talking about, the Most High God. In fact, we are already one with God, but because of that doubt, we feel separated from God. So the way I do this, I do my prayer daily. In that second step, I declare and say, I am one with God. I am the individualization of God. And I invite the fullest expression of God in and through me right here and now. Now feel that with me. Can you feel that? Because you put your thought out there, your intention, but it must be married with an accompanying thought for that to work. So let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I woke up one morning and had this excruciating pain in my left side. And I'm thinking, okay, let me get in meditation and become one with God and just shoo this on its way, because I know that I am healthy, whole, and prosperous in my health. Well, that pain was not subsiding. So I got to the point where I said, I got to call the doctor. This was on a Friday afternoon, and I'm like, I cannot be going through the weekend feeling like this. So I got on the phone, gave him a call. He said, oh, come on in. And I went in, and he did an x-ray. He told me, your intestines is in a loop. Meaning my plumbing is backing up, okay? So, anyway, well, just getting real. Anyway, I said, well, give me a prescription, a pill or something to take so we can get this loop out so I can just go on with my day and my weekend. He goes, darling, there is no pill for that. The only way that can happen is surgery. We got to get it out through. And I said, surgery? In the meantime, guys, I decided to embark upon my new life. I had let my corporate job go because there was a different vision for me. So, number one, I didn't have insurance, okay? So, anyway, I said, I have too busy of a weekend to become involved with surgeries and that kind of thing. That just does not fit in anywhere, recuperation time and all of that. So, anyway, he got his nurse, called my partner, because he told me he was getting ready to go on vacation. So he said, call my partner, let him know that Idella will be back. Or if you're going to stay here, that's fine. But she will end up in the emergency room, and I want him to be aware of what's going on. And he was setting all of this up, just sure that that's where I was going to end up. Well, in my mind, I was thinking, oh, no, 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 no. I wasn't receiving any of that, but I didn't tell him that. I left there and I said, before I left, have a great vacation. I walked out, I was walking and I said, God, you and I are having a come to Jesus meeting right here and right now, because this is not in the plan and I'm holding on to my wholeness. So anyway, got home, got into that meditative state, and I did it a little bit differently than what I was doing that morning. I made sure that knowingness and that feeling of the presence of God being in me, I felt it to the core of my being. And I allowed my imagination to go to work. I envision a hand coming down inside of me, massaging this area. Literally, I could see it. I could feel it. I owned every bit of it. And it took the knot out and continued to massage, and I went off to sleep Friday night. I woke up Saturday morning, and I thought, oh my God, I sure do feel good. And then I started to wonder, old doubt was trying to come back in. I went, oh, no, 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 no. I'm standing in my truth right here and now, whole, perfect, and complete, and all is well. I invite my fellow practitioner Carl to come up and elaborate more on declaration and affirming.
Good morning. The next step in a spiritual mind treatment is realization. This is where you start to have some fun. This is where you get to say what the affirmative prayer is about. And what you want to do, you want to affirm for a new cause, not a new effect. For instance, if you've got a hole in your roof and rain is coming in, you want to treat for the hole to be fixed, not for the puddle to be picked up on the floor. And you want to state it in the positive, as if it's already so. And the reason for that is, in the universal mind, it is already so. And you want to talk about it in the present tense, and you want to not worry about how it's going to happen. You leave that to the universal mind, leave that to God. And you want to be specific. If what you want is a Mercedes convertible, ask for that. Rusted out lime green Pinto is a car too. You might get that. But you want to also add, I add this or something better, because the universe is very abundant and it also has a sense of humor. You can be surprised at what can happen if you aren't so specific that it's got to be exactly this, and really have some fun with it. And as Avon said before, it's not just the words you use, it's really the feelings that you imbue it with are much more important. A lot of people get stuck on, I've got to say the right words. It's the feeling inside that does it. And so a story that I like to tell when I talk about spiritual mind treatment and how fast it can change the world, just like that. The day that Obama was getting inaugurated for the first time, a friend in the neighborhood was having a party for the inauguration. And I got all dressed up in tie-dye pants and a tie-dye shirt and a faux leather jacket, and I thought I was doing great. And I started to walk to the party. Well, this is 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and I didn't feel comfortable walking through my neighborhood all in my get-up. And I'd be fine going out or fine coming here to church, but not necessarily in my neighborhood. So the minute I thought that, all of a sudden a car stopped. And I looked, they rolled their window down, I went over. Well, there was Susan Zoller. And she didn't know how to get to the party. She needed directions, and I needed a ride. It was like that. And so the thing, we're all walking around in the state of realization. We are treating all the time with our thoughts and our words. The opportunity is to make it more conscious, to really say what you're doing, just don't do it unconsciously and let your monkey mind do it. So that's the opportunity, is to make it more conscious. Nana is going to do the next step.
Thank you, Carl. Thanksgiving. This is the opportunity to take the feeling and all that we have unified with into our everyday life. The Thanksgiving basically is the offspring of gratitude. So, I grew up in a time when manners were important, and I was told, be grateful for what you have, be grateful for life. And those were words to me, but I learned manners, and I kept those messages in my head. And today they are part of the affirmative prayer, because I am thankful for what I have. I am thankful for my life. I fell out of a car at 5 and was dragged down the highway. I thought I could jump back in. I didn't know about gravity, inertia, or any of those kinds of things, and so I'm holding on. And I experienced the voice of God that says, let go. And I did, and I rolled to the side of the road, and I was like chicken and dredged in flour, because I picked up all the rocks. My legs were totally abraded. And I spent a long time looking at my legs and being at home, and that was an event in my life that bothered me. It bothered me deeply for a very, very long time. So here I am, dealing with issues of gratitude and being thankful. And see, thankfulness takes it a step beyond just the feeling of gratitude. Because when we feel the gratitude, we feel blessed. We recognize that we are blessed. And there's joy, there's contentment, there's peace, and those are the God qualities. But we know that our philosophy is one of action. So now we have to do something about that. And that's where thankfulness comes in. How we show up, what we do, how we're in service. The gratitude will lead us to then turn around and be thankful, get into action. So how do I get into action with my issues of ingratitude? Live long enough. Live long enough. Because what I found was there was a shift in how I viewed what had happened to me. Yes, I had fallen out of the car. Yes, I had been in great pain. But I was still alive. And in realizing that I was still alive, there was great opportunity for me to do something about it. And so I began to re-envision what had happened to me. And the message, let go, that I had heard as the voice of God came back to me. And that has become one of the affirmations or the instructions by which I live my life. The things that try to drag me down, hold me back, I let them go, I let them be. I look for every moment in which to be thankful and grateful, because I am blessed. I took the abundance course. I was a teaching assistant, and every night for 8 weeks, you write 5 things that you experienced during the day for which you are grateful. And after you do your mom and dad, which I did, your family, your children, you can't repeat it. It's like, okay, what else can I be grateful for? And as I was sitting one night trying to get my 5 items together, I have owls in my backyard. And owls to me are majestic, absolutely spectacular birds. I heard them, but I had never seen them. There's a species of owls called the bar owls, and you probably have heard them but don't recognize it's them, but they're the ones who make the sound goes, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you?" So it's like, yeah, who cooks for me? And that was my reminder. That was my reminder. And I was so grateful to be reminded by nature that it is spirit who cooks me. Okay? who cooks up experiences. And even in nature, there is a reminder that we are not alone, that we are supported, that we are loved, that we are wonderful. So just remember, seek to find every opportunity for which to be grateful. It's infinite. Even your breathing, your lungs fill up and we take it for granted. Be grateful. So we have Scheherazade, and she will address release. Thank you.
Thank you, Nahana. I want to thank all of you for this opportunity, the musicians, the masters of vibratory frequency. I was enjoying them so. Speaking of being thankful, I was so thankful for my ability to hear and to appreciate music. It's one of the blessings of my life. I'm doing release. My fellow practitioners, for whom I'm also so very grateful, have outlined for you everything you need in a treatment. Release is the part where you stick the key in the car and turn the ignition. And if you've done all of the 4 steps ahead of you, guess what? You get to move. You get to ignite yourself. So first of all, I'm going to release, because everybody tells me my voice is soft, so I'm just going to get downright loud as I learn to release. I enjoy doing this because it helps me to grow as well. And what came to me from Spirit was the story I heard from Oscar Brown Jr., who is a musician and a poet, more years ago than I will ever admit. The story goes like this. There was a woman lived in a cabin in the forest by herself. And one morning when she got up and opened up her door, there was a snake. Now, this snake was just about dead. And this woman had compassion for this snake, and she picked it up, she brought it in the house, she figured out a way to feed a snake. She put it in front of her fireplace so it could get warm. And lo and behold, this snake began to move around, wiggle around, and to get alive again. And this woman was so happy. She picked up the snake, took it to her breast, and hugged it, and the snake reared up and bit her in the breast. And the woman dropped the snake, and she said, "Why did you do that? I nursed you. I took care of you. You were about dead. I brought you back to life." And as the snake slithered away and turned its head back and looked at her and said, "Silly woman, you always knew I was a snake." So release. Release is letting it go into the law, the universal law, and letting the Creator do the work. Release is letting the love and wisdom of the divine do its thing. It's letting go of the why, and here's the most important part. It is totally, completely, absolutely letting it go, surrender, and releasing it. And this is where we get caught. Well, now, I can forgive. Takes us a while to get there even. I can forgive, but I can't forget. So if you can't forget, guess what? You ain't released. Okay? As practitioners, we have a saying, you treat, move your feet, and I want to add, and you release again and again and again. You release as much as it's necessary for you to release. I have a little story, my own personal experience, what I'm even going through right now. There's this woman, there's all, who, I don't know, I went over in my mind, there's some people that whenever they see you, it's like they have this little switchblade and they have to, let me cut you right here. And when you look back, you got, so whenever, and the first couple of, it was really bad at first. I was like, I would go over, what did I do? What did I say? Why? And then I would try to, when she would come one way, I'd run the other way, or not run, but kind of, let me get out of the way because I don't feel like getting cut today. So it occurred to me as a practitioner, I better treat for this. And so as I treated, this is what happened. Spirit said to me, it's the law. You can't change anybody else. The only person I can work with is me. So best get on it. And here's the thing. This is an opportunity for me to forgive. I get to forgive myself for allowing myself to feel sad about something I don't have any control over. I get an opportunity to forgive this person who I've not done anything to her. And what also occurred to me is I don't even think she's aware that she's doing this. Okay. I really don't think she knows that there's something about me that brings, for whatever reason. Okay. So that's one area of that's the law part about it. Woman, look down. A snake is a snake, y'all. That's the law. And we do this, and this is what keeps us sometimes stuck and not being able to release, because we look at the world, and that's not fair, and that's not right, and why is this happening? And right now we're looking at stuff and saying, whoa, what is going on? Where is God? Here. God is where it's always been, in here. From the law, it's not only from so above, so below, so within, so without. When I give me, I can forgive you, but I can't forgive you until I can find the forgiveness in me. I can't express love until I understand the law. One of the most difficult things for me in this life to understand about the law is death and transition. Things always change. Didn't understand it when my mother left. Didn't understand it when my grandmother left, because they left me all by myself. Didn't understand it and couldn't let her go. I had a little dropper, fill it up with water, trying to get down this woman's throat as she was dying. I couldn't let her go. And she was having a hard time letting go. And sometimes I think, I think maybe she was like, this child here, I can't leave her by herself. But when I began to let go, I began to realize that my mother, my grandmother, Essie and Carrie are right here. They're in my DNA. That which we call heaven, that which we call the other side, is right here. It's right up next to us. Okay? Wonderful thing. I get to really love and enjoy it. And they're like, and I know, they're like, duh, what you feeling sad about? Right here. We're still here. Hello. So we release. We release, we let go. We let spirit fill our lives. And we allow our hearts to open wide, because we're only here for God. And so it is.
Thank Thank you so much, practitioners. Let's give them another round of applause. Now it's time for our grateful giving. And I'd like to have Dawn Jameson come up, our practitioner.
Hello, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. You guys did a fantastic job. Now, I'm going to put it all in a nutshell. How do you like my outfit? Pretty cool, huh? I rode in on my bike today, and the reason that is important is because as we laid the foundation for you today with the treatment, you got to remember that God is always working perfectly. So although I failed the emissions test with my 1994 Honda Civic, I then took it to the car repair shop and paid $800 to have it repaired. How much is it worth? Maybe about $150, $200. Then I took it back, and I was without it for about a week. Then I took it back to the emissions, and guess what pulled it in? And then it wouldn't start. Then I had to have it hauled back to the repair shop. The guy was supposed to have it fixed on Friday. I didn't have it fixed because they couldn't get the part. So how am I going to get to church on Sunday? Oops, we've got Practitioner Sunday. I got to make it somewhere. It's either walk, call, or ride my bike. God is always working in your life. Opportunity is always out there. We must stay in a place of gratitude. I don't know who remembers. Remember the time I showed up and I was to give the talk in front of you, and I was in gym shoes because the soles of one of my shoes had come off and it was flopping. But I was grateful because I had another pair of shoes out in the car, the gym shoes. Gratitude, giving, that is why I show up here every Sunday, because I'm so grateful. That is why I give to this center. And I encourage you to do the same thing. We are so blessed, but we must recognize it. Every moment of every day, make the effort, recognize, give to where you're being fed. This place feeds me. I am being fed. So I don't care if I show up in a dress, a pair of pants. Don't go there with me. Give to where you're being fed. With that, please open your program. And on the left-hand side, repeat with me the affirmation for grateful giving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me, multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm David Alt, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.